Celebrity Shorts.
United Airlines sends rapper Schoolboy Q's dog to the wrong city. Just when you realize you haven't heard United Airlines mentioned in the headlines lately, a fresh new PR disaster pops right up. This past weekend, a passenger's pet ended up in the wrong city, and unfortunately for the troubled airline, this particular passenger carries his own mic. On July 14th, rapper Schoolboy Q boarded a flight from Missouri to Burbank, California. During a stopover in Denver, arrangements had been made for a French bulldog puppy he'd just purchased to be loaded onto his connecting flight. But when Schoolboy Q landed and went to greet his new pet, he was stunned to find someone else's animal in the cage. Turns out the poor little pup had been switched by mistake during the flight transfer and was on his way to Chicago. As you can imagine, the Grammy-nominated artist was none too pleased and voiced his displeasure on Twitter, demanding answers. Thankfully, United managed to locate the puppy, named Yeerndamean, and reunited him with his famous owner a few hours later. United issued the disgruntled rapper a full refund and a public apology, but unsurprisingly, Schoolboy Q still has a serious bone to pick with the airline. He told CNN he plans on suing.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
United Airlines just can't seem to go a week without a PR nightmare.
Big Bunny dies after United Airlines flight. United Airlines is facing more PR problems after this humongous rabbit died while traveling with the airline from England to the US. The 10-month-old, 3-foot-long continental giant rabbit called Simon was expected to grow up to become the biggest bunny in the world. But owner Annette Edwards is now demanding compensation from United and the return of the rabbit's corpse to the UK for an autopsy. United insists Simon was alive and hopping when he was taken off the flight in Chicago on April 19th, and there was definitely no need to ask, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" An airline spokesman said the giant rabbit appeared healthy and showed no signs of distress upon landing. Simon went to sleep in a pet facility run by the airline, but 30 minutes later, an employee opened his cage and found the rabbit dead. The spokesman said the airline had offered to perform a necropsy on the rabbit, free of charge, but Edwards declined. Rabbit breeder Edwards said Simon was expected to grow to be the world's biggest bunny, after his father Darius grew to a length of 4 feet 4 inches. Edwards said Simon had a veterinary checkup just 3 hours before takeoff from London's Heathrow Airport and was as fit as a fiddle. United said they have offered compensation to Simon's buyer in the States. The airline said it was saddened to hear of the giant bunny's death and was investigating the incident.
Honeymooners save plane with fuel leakage but get left stranded. A newly married couple flying to Italy for their honeymoon cruise were thrown off course before they could leave the ground when they saw an unusual sight out of their cabin window. Which airline were they flying? United, of course. On June 14th, Mike and Rachel Brumfield boarded their flight in Newark, New Jersey, but when they got to their seats, they spotted fluid pouring out of the plane's left wing. As it turns out, what they saw draining out was jet fuel. Somehow, not one member of the flight crew happened to notice the issue before takeoff, and had the couple not spoken up, the plane might have crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. For their critical observation, you'd think United Airlines would come up with a special gesture to show gratitude, right? Wrong. The newlyweds say they learned their flight was canceled and all the passengers received hotel vouchers for the night, except them. Furthermore, they say United employees were super rude to them and had no idea where their luggage was. They were forced to sleep on the floor of the airport and rushed to arrange a flight at another airport to make it to Venice on time for their honeymoon cruise. When reached for comment, United Airlines declined to address the couple's claims, only offering a general statement regarding the flight cancellation. Classy.
United Airlines drags passenger off flight. United Airlines is facing yet another PR disaster. That's after this footage of a bloodied passenger being forcibly removed from a flight went viral. The man was dragged from his seat as the plane sat on the tarmac in Chicago on Sunday, bound for Louisville, Kentucky. It all kicked off when United needed to get 4 staff members to Louisville, but then realized the flight was already full and no seats were available. Passengers who volunteered to give up their seats and take a later flight were offered $400 in compensation and a free hotel stay. But even when that offer was doubled to $800, there were still no takers. That's when United decided to choose the volunteers themselves, and 4 passengers were randomly bumped from the plane. One couple left the airplane without incident. but the man in the video refused. He said he was a doctor and needed to get back to Louisville to see his patients. United staff told the man that security would be called if he didn't get off the plane. Again, he refused, and that's when things got physical.
No, this is wrong. Oh my God, look at what you did to him. Oh my.
While this incident was undoubtedly brutal, United is within its legal rights to overbook flights and to remove passengers from their planes. They just have to pay compensation of up to $1,350, depending on the length of the delay. 10 minutes later, the passenger ran back on the plane looking confused. Eventually, all the passengers were made to deboard and go back to the gate while the plane was cleaned up. The plane eventually arrived in Louisville 2 hours late. In a statement, United Airlines apologized for what they described as an overbooking situation, but didn't say sorry to the passenger who was dragged from his seat. In an email to staff on Monday, United CEO Oscar Munoz said the man was disruptive and belligerent. The Chicago Department of Aviation says the security officer who dragged the passenger out of his seat has been put on leave, pending an investigation. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. United Airlines strikes again. The airline everyone loves to hate is once again in the headlines, this time for giving away a toddler's seat and forcing him to sit on his mom's lap for the entire flight. Shirley Yamauchi and her 27-month-old son were on the final leg of an 18-hour journey from Hawaii to Boston on June 29th. United Airlines agents at Houston's Bush Airport scanned their tickets and let them through without incident. But once on board, a passenger who'd been on standby arrived with a ticket for her son's seat, which she'd paid nearly $1,000 for. She notified a flight attendant about the confusion, but the woman just shrugged and told her the flight was full. Wary of making a scene and getting the David Dow treatment, Yamauchi was forced to hold her son on her lap for the entire 3.5-hour flight. The toddler was in several contorted sleeping positions before eventually ending up standing between her knees. After getting off the plane, Yamauchi told agents at the gate of her ordeal. They directed her to customer service, who then told her to call the hotline. Thanks, guys. So helpful. United's excuse is that the ticket was scanned incorrectly, making it look like it wasn't checked in. Which sounds like a pile of horse dung, if you ask us. The airline's own guidelines require children 2 years and older to have a seat. But guess those rules don't count if there's an opportunity to grab a couple $100, huh? Get it together, United.